Good morning, and welcome to our Sunday worship service. I am Martha Schmidt, and I'll be your celebrant this morning. I have been coming to the UU Church for, I said about 30 years the last time I stood up here, and someone came up to me and corrected me that it's been longer than that. We came to town not having attended church and were invited to come here by good friends. We had 4 little daughters, one of which is sitting over here with her 2 little girls. And we created space for ourselves here. It wasn't hard to do. I have to admit that sometimes things were a little rough in those early days, in my opinion, because we hadn't made all the changes that we've made over the years for things to work smoothly. So I persisted in wanting to be here, and I'm glad I'm here, and I'm grateful for the way we have made things, that we've organized ourselves to be more welcoming, and we've created a culture of these words, which we are still working to know and expand on and reach out to our community. So I'd like to extend a special welcome to all those who are joining us for the first time. We're very glad that you're here. If you haven't already stopped in, please visit the welcome desk in the foyer and pick up a name tag and a newcomer's packet. Our welcoming committee members have yellow name tags and can point you toward additional information. If you are joining online, we'd ask you to fill out the newcomer form on the website so that we can be in touch to answer any questions you might have. Meanwhile, our usual practice is to gather in community for coffee and conversation after the service, either downstairs in our fellowship hall or in our Zoom room. We want everyone to feel supported and at home here. So let's begin in that spirit by saying our words of welcome together. Whether this is your first or your 1000th Sunday with us, and whether you strolled, rolled, Zoomed, ran, or danced in, we are glad you chose to join us. We are one people of many beliefs, identities, origins, sexualities, and genders. All are welcome here. Now we will take a moment to say hello across the technical divide. First, we're going to show the people joining us on Zoom. If you are at home, please turn on your camera. Now, people at home, wave. Now, people who are attending the service in our building, it's your turn to wave. We do have a couple of announcements. We'll begin with our stewardship testimonial.
Many of you will remember what this building was like maybe just 5 years ago. If you wanted to leave the sanctuary and go downstairs to the fellowship hall, you either had to go out that corner of the room and descend some very narrow stairs, or you would have to go out the door, descend the ramp, go around the building, and go in the door to have coffee and conversation with everybody else. The religious exploration program was across the plaza in a charming little yellow house that was barely accessible. It was the generosity of those who believe in the future of this community that built the addition that today is almost like an old shoe, or at least a comfortable shoe. Now that we have facilities we need, we're able to reach out to the larger community and provide the space, programs, and staffing that allow us to achieve our mission of inclusion and radical hospitality. My grandsons, charming and disruptive as they are, love coming to the UU Church on Sunday. I love coming and seeing new faces almost every Sunday, old and new faces. Each of us has a role to play in supporting what we have here by pledging at whatever level is comfortable to our annual campaign. And I imagine that Archie will be downstairs collecting pledges or giving you information about pledges in exchange for chocolate. I hope you'll join us.
Thank you, Mary. There is this announcement from Washira that the young adults will be meeting in the RE office, which is downstairs on the first floor, right after the service. And Kat has an announcement.
Good morning. My name is Catherine Clancy. I'm currently one of your UU Board of Trustees members. Although next week you'll be voting for my replacement since I'll be ending my 3-year term this month. We've had some feedback that you all would like to know more about us and what we do. So we'll be appearing on occasional Sundays to introduce ourselves and give you information. Today I'm going to highlight the UUCP website. On the website under About, you'll find a link to our elected leaders with our names and pictures. Under News and Events, you'll find links to the monthly newsletters, which always contain a summary of the board meeting and also a short column called Message from the Board, which different board members take turns writing each month. We hope you'll use this website to get to know us better and read about what we do.
Sam, you have a message?
Hey everybody, I'm Sam Welsh, I'm the music director here. I just wanted to let you all know that we had so much fun at our last hymn sing that they've requested another hymn sing. So we're gonna do it on December 18th. So it'll be holiday themed. We'll plan to sing lots of carols. We're gonna kind of meet at 6 downstairs in the fellowship hall and share some treats. So if you've got some treats that are maybe holiday themed, go ahead and bring those, and then we'll sing 7 to 8, so in the normal choir rehearsal time, and bring your good holiday cheer. So looking forward to seeing you all there.
We preface our service by acknowledging our church was built on the ancestral homelands of the Nimipu, called the Nez Perce by the French-speaking traders, the Palouse, and the Stitsa Umsh, called the Coeur d'Alene. Let us pause and remember that we live on ground that is sacred, ground that was stolen, ground that cries out for justice and for responsible stewardship. May our remembering help us find the courage to do our part to restore wholeness to the earth and all her peoples. We are hoping that folks joining us via Zoom have a chalice or a candle to light and something to light it with. Let's light our chalices together. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek and seek to share.
Please be seated. We have to light the Advent wreath, and I forgot to ask for a hands-free.
Sorry.
There we go. Can you hear me? Okay. Advent is the period of the 4 Sundays that lead up to Christmas. The 4 candles on the wreath count down through the season of Advent, a time of waiting and cultivating patience. The season asks us to hold faith that all we are becoming is still awakening under the surface of our lives. As we light one more candle each Sunday, this Advent wreath symbolizes our waiting experience. Week by week, the candles remind us that fear and hopelessness recede as more warmth enters the world. The flame of each new candle reminds us that more is yet to come. Okay. So first, you're going to light this one. On the first Sunday in Advent, we lit a candle for hope. Got it? Perfect. And then you're going to light one more. On the second Sunday of Advent, we light a candle for peace with these words by Pema Chodron, a Buddhist nun. You can blow it out. Nope. Blow out this one. There we go. And these we're going to let burn. And you're all done. Thank you so much. These are the words of Pema Chodron. If we want there to be peace in the world, we have to be brave enough to soften what is rigid in our hearts, to find the soft spot and stay with it. We have to have that kind of courage and take that kind of responsibility. That's the true practice of peace. So may this time of waiting inspire our courage. May we find the soft spot in the pressures of this season and stay with it as we discern our way forward together. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be at ease. May we discover the true practice of peace within us so that there might be peace in the world. So I'm going to be a little honest with you here and say that the theme of peace at first felt a little off to me this year. I am gearing up to resist, to fight for my values in a town and a state and a nation that have become increasingly hostile to those values. And of course, in the midst of my pondering, we had the assassination of a corrupt healthcare CEO in New York and the schadenfreude with which this act of violence was celebrated. We had the attempted transition to martial law in Korea and the heartening response. We had just yesterday the Assad ousted from Syria. So there's turbulence, and not all of it feels, some of it feels kind of hopeful. So, but the service, the Advent theme is peace, so I had to engage the tension. And that engagement, that tension has been surprisingly fruitful. What happened is I've come to realize that for me there's a difference between the kind of peace that papers over difficulty and preserves an illusion of calm and true peace. The former we might call cheap peace or dirty peace or even negative peace. On the individual level, cheap peace looks like denying, distracting ourselves, even using addiction to avoid engaging grief, loss, anger, and other difficult emotions. On the interpersonal level, we might talk about the tyranny of Northwest nice, which keeps our relationships and our communities from deepening through healthy engagement of conflict. And on the societal level, dirty peace enforces strict behavioral norms that invalidate the pain and suffering caused by structures of oppression. That refrain, "Can't we all just get along?" That's dirty peace. Now, true peace, on the other hand, demands that we engage difficulty, that we wrestle with pain and injustice. True peace is a path of growth as we embrace nuance and paradox, as we take courageous action. True peace will transform us on every level. The process is not comfortable or easy or fluffy, but it is durable and it is real, where cheap peace is fragile and shatters at the worst possible moment. True peace demands that we be brave and disciplined and fiercely loving. The world we co-create as we cultivate true peace is a world that is in line with our dearest values. So that's what we'll be reflecting on this morning. But let's begin by singing together. Hymn number 1054, Let This Be a House of Peace. We don't know this one, and it's hard to sing.
Are the words right?
Yeah.
All right, get the books. Bring out the hymnals.
Or we could just punt and do something we do know.
Okay, like what?
I don't know. You want to just do Come, Come, Whoever We Are? Whoever you are, or something like that? Want to do Come Sing a Song?
We did it last week.
Okay. We're gonna change the song. And we're just gonna do Come Sing a Song with Me. And I'll keep my mic on so I can kind of line it out for you. That one's in the gray hymnal, and it's
We sang it last week. It's 346.
346 in the gray hymnal. And it's Come Sing a Song with Me, come sing a song with me, come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find, and I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the wintertime. Alex, you're amazing. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring have a saying around here, it's strong core, soft knees. It means we stay flexible. Thanks, Sam.
Now let's take a moment to engage in the practice of generosity together. For those of you able to make a financial contribution, the logistics are on the screen. We typically give away all the cash from our Sunday offering to local charities whose missions align with our values. A program called the Month of Sundays. This month, the recipient is Family Promise of the Palouse, whose mission is to empower families with children experiencing homelessness to achieve sustainable independence for a more promising future. To donate, please indicate Month of Sundays on your check or from the online drop-down menu. In the spirit of love and for the continuing work of this church, we will now take some time to practice generosity together.
You have to be kind to yourself too. That's the rule. So, in just a moment, we have a real treat for you this morning. We're going to have a gorgeous performance of the Brahms G Major Sonata. It runs a little longer than our usual gift of music, so the invitation
That is here for you is to go a little deeper into meditation or contemplation as the music washes over you. So, go ahead and get comfortable. Perhaps close your eyes or let your gaze soften. If it's comfortable for you, let your breath get a little deeper, slower. Pay attention to the pauses at the top of the inhale, at the bottom of the exhale. And then I invite you to imagine a place that is or could become your inner sanctum. This might be based on an actual place. It might be someplace imaginary, maybe out in nature, even underground. But imagine a place that offers respite, a place where you feel safe and protected. Now, in this place, let there be something that symbolizes renewal for you. Perhaps a spring, a fire, a banquet table,
or a tree, fast growing or not. Whatever image arises, let your intuition guide you. And in this place, this sanctuary that holds safety and renewal, I invite you to contemplate these questions. Are there truths that you are afraid of facing? Is there a truth that you are hiding from? What is the state of your heart? Are you feeling courageous, heartful, or are you a little bruised and battered? What does your heart need in order to be at full strength? And lastly, what action or path of inquiry is calling to you in this moment? What is the next beautiful thing on your path of becoming? As the music plays, I invite you to contemplate whichever of these questions calls to you. If you begin to feel agitated, just return to imagining your inner sanctum. If you start to feel drained or overwhelmed, return to that source of renewal. Let's rest in the music together. Holy smokes, what a gift. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Our reading this morning comes from Healing Resistance, a radically different response to harm by Kazu Haga. To learn to endure life's challenges with dignity can absolutely be a positive trait. But when it results in a nation of people trying to simply endure trauma, isolation, and living a life without purpose, when people are taught not to speak out about injustice and oppression and to stay in their place, that becomes repression and a form of violence. It is negative peace. It is easier in the short term to sweep issues under the rug and settle for a cheap yet ultimately unsustainable negative peace. It is an entirely different conversation to proactively work against violence and build toward a positive peace that includes justice for all. It requires us to lift the veil off injustice and work to repair the harm. So, does anyone know someone who stuffs or avoids their difficult feelings? Maybe? In fact, I think all of us do this sometimes, and some of us do it most or even all of the time. Human beings do occasionally need to compartmentalize. We put our difficult feelings into a tidy box so that we can continue to function. But if we never open those boxes, our psyche turns into the equivalent of a hoarder's basement. There are boxes everywhere, no room to maneuver, and then the mice and the other vermin start coming in and making things unsafe and causing illness. Our boxed up feelings can become a barricade that separates us from our difficult feelings. When we do that, we are walled off also from joy and awe and wonder. Our life becomes constricted. We have less and less room to maneuver. We lose our capacity to connect with others on anything more than the most surface level. Compassion starts to feel like a threat to that precarious reality because once we start feeling, the boxes might start tumbling and falling over and make a big old mess. Boxing up our feelings this way, refusing to open them, sort through them, is a form of self-harm. It is not a loving thing to do to ourselves. It feels like we're keeping ourselves safe, but in actuality, we're putting ourselves at risk of losing our humanity. We need to understand what our feelings are for. Positive feelings motivate approach behaviors. When something feels good, we're more likely to do it. Negative feelings like disgust or shame or fear motivate avoidance behavior. When we sense a threat, we move away from that threat. Anger exists to put us on notice that something is wrong so that we can figure out what is wrong and then fix it. Grief helps us adapt to loss. It's our path to healing, to integrating our losses into our way of being in the world. All of our feelings are tools to motivate changes in our behavior, and even when they are uncomfortable, they serve a positive purpose. Now, there's a simple roadmap. This comes from Psychology Today to help us work with our feelings skillfully. First, when we become aware of a feeling, we gently and without judgment name it. Then, mindfully and still without judgment, we check in with our body. We allow the physical sensations associated with that feeling to be. We allow those physical sensations to flow. Next, we gently investigate what's driving the feeling. What is at its heart? What is it asking of us or inviting from us? And finally,
We offer ourselves kindness and compassion. We should say to ourselves what we would say to a beloved other in a similar situation, and bring our self-talk into alignment with the way we talk to the people we love. Now, here's some good news. It's not as hard to feel a boxed up feeling as it is to sort through a whole box of memorabilia or paperwork. Someone once told me that on average, a feeling lasts for about a minute and a half. We can put up with just about anything for a minute and a half, right? Okay, so we ready to practice? Take another deep breath. See if you can identify a boxed up feeling. And then move through the steps with me. First, name it. Next, feel it in your body and let it flow. Investigate what's driving it. Then offer yourself kindness and compassion. Now, true inner peace arises in response to this careful feeling work when we allow ourselves to be present to what is, when we accept reality, accept our response, and integrate the experience into our self-understanding. It's an organic process. We literally evolved to do it, and it helps us continue to evolve and change. So let's move on now to nurturing true peace in our relationships. You know the old saw, you have to go along to get along? It's garbage. Kind of wanted to use another word there. What's more, this old saw is a tool of the kyriarchy, those overlapping systems of oppression that try to keep some people down in order to concentrate power in the hands of the privileged. Glennon Doyle writes about this in her book, Untamed. These are her words. We were taught to believe that who we are in our natural state is bad and dangerous. They convinced us to be afraid of ourselves, so we do not honor our own bodies, curiosity, hunger, judgment, experience, or ambition. Instead, we lock away our true selves. Women who are best at this disappearing act earn the highest praise. She is so selfless. Can you imagine? The epitome of womanhood is to lose oneself completely. That is the end goal of every patriarchal culture, because a very effective way to control women is to convince women to control themselves. We could take out patriarchy and insert racism, insert homophobia. This is how the structures of oppression work. We don't have to go along with the things that don't feel good and right to us. And in fact, going along with them is another form of self-harm. Sure, we don't always get our way in every situation, but we have the right to name what we need and what we don't want. We have the power to negotiate and set boundaries. And it's difficult to make waves this way. Relationships are messy, and often the person who pushes against the system bears the brunt of people's anger at being forced to feel and think and change. But as Glennon puts it, blessed are those brave enough to make things awkward. They wake us up and move us forward. So we aren't all the same. We don't all like the same things. We don't all have the same limits or rhythms, which means we have both a right and a responsibility to advocate for ourselves. And we might hesitate to do so because we're afraid of the consequences. We've been trained to believe that conforming is necessary in order to be accepted. But remember, we only experience true belonging when we are accepted just as we are, when we are both safe and free to be our authentic selves. The Peaceful Leaders Academy defines healthy or constructive conflict as involving an open exchange of differing ideas where all parties feel heard and respected. It is characterized by a spirit of mutual respect and a shared goal of finding a solution beneficial to all involved. Unhealthy conflict, meanwhile, degenerates into personal attacks, power plays. There are about 1 million ways to manipulate or bully others in order to get our way, and all of them are a form of violence. Healthy conflict is the work of creating true peace. It requires that we be clear about what we will and won't do, what we do and don't want. It requires that we communicate those things and stay in that messy place of negotiating until we arrive at a solution that best honors everyone's needs and boundaries. It takes time. The goal is not to find the perfect solution, but rather to come up with a plan that all the people involved can live with. I dream of the day when this is what democracy looks like. But I digress. I'd invite you now to search your heart and see, is there a situation in your life where you've sacrificed your well-being in order to keep the peace? You might know you've found it if you feel a tightness in the pit of your belly or if your jaw clenches. What would it look like to speak up, make waves, get awkward? Sure, there are risks involved, but there's also a possibility for those relationships to deepen and grow, for love and respect and kindness to expand. So breathe into that possibility and get brave. And this brings me to creating true peace in our society. Kazu Haga, the author of our reading, is trained and a trainer in Kingian nonviolence. I'm going to read you his words again. To learn to endure life's challenges with dignity can absolutely be a positive trait, but when it results in a nation of people trying to simply endure trauma, isolation, and living a life without purpose, when people are taught not to speak about injustice and oppression and to stay in their place, that becomes repression and a form of violence. It is negative peace. It is easier in the short term to sweep issues under the rug and settle for a cheap, yet ultimately unsustainable negative peace. It is an entirely different conversation to proactively work against violence and build toward a positive peace that includes justice for all. It requires us to lift the veil off injustice and work to repair the harm. I know these times feel a little apocalyptic, but we need to remember that the word apocalypse means to uncover. It means to pull back the veil. The veil has been lifted, and we have the opportunity to face the pervasive racism and misogyny in our nation and our world. We have the opportunity to face the brokenness of our system. We have the opportunity to face the way social isolation and online echo chambers have degraded and damaged our institutions. This is hard work. It hurts. It's understandable to be afraid and anxious, which is why feeling our feelings has to be a part of the path. But we also need to remember that we're facing these things so that we can change them, so that we can heal them, so that we can deconstruct those structures that are oppressing and causing harm. Now, this church is a place where we covenant to put love at the center. We need to remember it's not a go along to get along kind of love. It is a fierce love, and it asks a lot of us sometimes. As the greed of the most wealthy is uncovered and people find themselves without access to adequate food or housing or healthcare, the love at the center of our faith demands that we just feed and care for people who are hungry, houseless, or ill. as hate is weaponized and our government starts to attack the vulnerable, the love at the center of our faith demands that we protect and advocate and provide sanctuary to the people who are at risk. And we're not exempt from this fierce love. This love also demands that we care for ourselves, that we be true to who we are, that we tend to our feelings and our psyches and our spirits, no matter how challenging things get. We have to stay human, kind, and relatively sane. True peace is when we arrive at the end of the day and look ourselves in the mirror and know in our bones that we have done everything that love has asked of us. This is what I wish for. It's what I pray for. That each and every one of us might work for true peace and then might find true peace, and in the finding, create the world that we're dreaming of. So be it, and so may it be. Let's rise in body or spirit and sing together hymn number 100, Peace Like a River. You know what? I'm going to skip the closing reading because we're running late. Thank you. Let's sing our musical benediction, There Is a Love. Please join me in the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light our paths as we leave this place. May it guide our way until we ever gather again. Beloveds, don't settle. Don't settle for cheap peace. We deserve, the world deserves, we all deserve true peace. And I know it feels hard to sacrifice the illusion of perfection for the messiness of reality, but that's the work. That's the work. The paper's gonna tear. We can't paper it over. We gotta just dive in and do the brave and hard things. We need to let love have its way with us. So go forth then, knowing that you are beloved, knowing that you are agents of love and peace in this world. Go in peace. Come back next Sunday.